Reading continues through verse 53. When Jesus arrived, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb 4 days. Now, Bethany was near Jerusalem, some 2 miles away, and many of the Jews had come to Martha and Mary to console them about their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went and met him, while Mary stayed at home. Martha said to Jesus, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now, I know that God will give you whatever you ask of him." Jesus said to her, "Your brother will rise again." Martha said to him, "I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day." Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?" She said to him, "Yes, Lord. I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one coming into the world." When she had said this, she went back and called her sister Mary and told her privately, "The teacher is here and is calling for you." And when she heard it, she got up quickly and went to him. Now Jesus had not yet come to the village, but was still at the place where Martha had met him. The Jews who were with her in the house, consoling her, saw Mary get up quickly and go out. They followed her because they thought she was going to the tomb to weep there. When Mary came to where Jesus was and saw him, she knelt at his feet and said to him, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who came with her also weeping, he was greatly disturbed in spirit and deeply moved. He said, "Where have you laid him?" They said to him, "Lord, come and see." Jesus began to weep. So the Jews said, "See how he loved him?" But some of them said, "Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying?" Then Jesus, again greatly disturbed, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone was lying against it. Jesus said, "Take away the stone." Martha, the sister of the dead man, said to him, "Lord, already there is a stench because he has been dead 4 days." Jesus said to her, "Did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God?" So they took away the stone. And Jesus looked upward and said, "Father, I thank you for having heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I've said this for the sake of the crowd standing here so that they may believe that you sent me." When he had said this, he cried with a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out." The dead man came out, his hands and feet bound with strips of cloth, and his face wrapped in a cloth. Jesus said to them, "Unbind him and let him go." Many of the Jews, therefore, who had come with Mary and had seen what Jesus did, believed in him. But some of them went to the Pharisees and told them what he had done. So the chief priests and the Pharisees called a meeting of the council and said, "What are we to do? This man is performing many signs. If we let him go on like this, everyone will believe in him, and the Romans will come and destroy both our holy place and our nation." But one of them, Caiaphas, who was high priest that year, said to them, "You know nothing at all. You do not understand that it is better for you to have one man die for the people than to have the whole nation destroyed." He did not say this on his own, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus was about to die for the nation, and not for the nation only, but to gather into one the dispersed children of God. So, from that day on, they planned to put him to death. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Before zooming in on this text, let's first zoom out. This story describes the last miracle that Jesus performs in the Gospel of John before he dies. His signs have been growing more and more powerful. First, he changes water into wine. Then he heals an official's son. Then a man who'd been crippled for 38 years. He feeds 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fish, walks on water, and then heals a man who was blind from birth, the story we explored in last week's message. It's implied that Jesus is also doing lots of other healing along the way, but these are the 6 main signs that the gospel describes for us. The raising of Lazarus after Lazarus has been in the tomb for 4 whole days, a period of time when decay has taken over and the body has started to rot, tops them all. This is the event that prompts the authorities to decide once and for all that Jesus must die. Why this particular thing? Well, always remember that the people of Israel lived under occupation by the Roman Empire. And the power of any empire is always death. If you don't cooperate, they will kill you. So, empires use our fear of death to control us. But here comes someone who can bring life, who can raise to life someone who has died. Now that is threatening, because if people aren't afraid of death, then the empire loses its power. An empire might therefore decide to eliminate not only the person who brings new life, but all the people associated with that person. Which is why Caiaphas says it is better for one man to die for all the people than to have the whole nation destroyed. So that kind of situates us within the Gospel of John. From here on out, we're looking at the events leading up to Jesus' death. Now let's zoom back into this story. And while there are lots of places we could zoom in on, we will focus today on verses 33 through 37, which include that famous verse that Pat highlighted in his children's moment, Jesus wept. This is an event of such magnitude that it is its own scripture verse, the shortest one in the Bible. If you can't memorize the rest of the verses, you can memorize that one. Now, why does Jesus begin to weep when clearly he knows he's going to bring Lazarus back to life within the hour? And what does his weeping teach us? I had always thought Jesus weeping was a simple matter of identifying with his good friend Mary so much and feeling so bad that she had to suffer that kind of grief. But let's look a little closer. When Jesus saw her weeping and the Jews who came with her also weeping, he was greatly disturbed in spirit and deeply moved. He said, "Where have you laid him?" They said to him, "Lord, come and see." Then Jesus begins to weep. Come and see. Where have we heard that before? Way back in the first chapter of John's Gospel, John the Baptist points Jesus out to his own disciples, and 2 of them immediately leave John the Baptist behind to follow Jesus. Jesus turns around and sees them following and asks, "What are you looking for?" And they ask him where he's staying, and he says, "Come and see." In that same chapter, remember, Philip finds Nathanael and says, "We have found him about whom Moses and the law and also the prophets wrote, Jesus, son of Joseph from Nazareth." And Nathanael says, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" And Philip says, "Come and see." Come and see. This was the invitation Jesus and his followers had extended to others. Come see this new abundant way of life. Come and see what God is doing in the world. Come and see things you have never seen before. Now, it's Jesus who's being invited to come and see what happens to all of us eventually. Come and see the tomb of your friend. Jesus' tears evoke a couple different responses. Some say, see how he loved Lazarus? And others say, could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying? So this is a story for all of us who have ever asked the question, could not God have prevented my child from getting leukemia? Could not God have kept that car from hitting my friend as he was biking that day? Could not God just make this terrible, awful thing go away? We know from what we've read of John's gospel up to this point that, of course, Jesus could have kept Lazarus from dying, even if it was incredibly dangerous for Jesus to be moving from one place to another at this point, which it was. Jesus had been able to heal the royal official's son without ever seeing or speaking to him. Surely, if Jesus could heal a stranger long distance, he could have done that for Lazarus, whom he loved. So why didn't he? And the response we get to this question isn't a because with a nice, neat explanation. The response we get is, Jesus wept. The answer we get is that the one through whom all things were made is also the one who goes with us to the tomb, to the darkest, saddest, most hopeless dead ends of our lives, and weeps there with us. The God who made the universe with its trillions of stars and countless galaxies, who may well have created life in forms other than human beings in places other than our planet Earth, that same God also feels my daughter Madeline's heartbreak when she had to put her beloved greyhound Artemis to sleep last month after the veterinarian unexpectedly discovered cancer. And God feels your pain and your sorrow when you have to say goodbye to a loved one, be they a beloved spouse, a faithful friend, or a pet who has evoked a love in you that you didn't even know you had to give. We also get the answer that what we think God should be doing is never as amazing as what God actually does, which is what happens when Jesus calls Lazarus to come out of the tomb. Lazarus and all the rest of us have to die eventually someday, but this moment of new life, when all hope was gone, gives us a glimpse of the glory of God that awaits us. You've heard me quote Richard Rohr many times now, how he stresses over and over that there is no resurrection without death. Well, maybe there's no death without some kind of a resurrection either. However, Jesus' tears demonstrate that even believing in the resurrection does not inoculate us from the pain of this life. Even Jesus, knowing the miracle that's coming, weeps. Our pain matters to him, even if that pain is only temporary, and he's not afraid to show it. So I was pondering this passage yesterday. I suddenly had an image, a memory of myself as a young mother holding Madeline at the pediatrician's office when she was a little baby getting her first round of shots. And I knew that those vaccinations were ultimately for Madeline's health and well-being. I knew that the pain wouldn't last. I knew she was going to be absolutely fine. But I still held her precious little body close to my heart as she wailed. And my heart hurt because she hurt. And I wonder if something a little bit similar to that isn't what's going on when Jesus weeps with a hurting family and grieving community. Of course, Madeline's pain was for maybe 5 to 10 seconds tops. Mary and Martha only have to grieve for 4 days for their brother this time. Some of us in this room have lived with a lot worse for a lot longer. If that is you right now, know that Jesus goes with you into those dark, scary, smelly, deathly, tearful places. Invite him in, he will be there. Expect Christ to come through for you, but don't expect him to act on your timetable. Do expect that you will see the glory of God in unexpected ways. And know that always and forevermore, you are being tightly yet gently held by the God who made heaven and earth, who so loved the world that he gave his only Son, who loves us enough to weep with us, who loves us enough to go to the cross for us. Thanks be to God.